I walked through the front door at 6:15 p.m. to find Lisa setting down her phone like it had caught fire. That careful, measured way she moved when she was hiding something. The fitness tracker on her wrist caught the kitchen light. Same tracker that showed she'd been working out for 2 hours at a gym that closes at 8 p.m. Funny how her workout ended at 8:30. "How was your day?" I asked, setting my laptop bag on the granite counter of our Richardson home. 3-car garage, pool in the back, mortgage that would make most people sweat. But when you're pulling $150K as a regional sales director for medical equipment across 3 states, you can afford the good life. Or at least, you can afford to protect it when someone tries to take it. "Good," she said, not meeting my eyes. "Just got back from the gym. Chad had us doing this new HIIT routine." Chad, always Chad these days. The personal trainer with the 50,000 Instagram followers and the BMW lease he probably couldn't afford without targeting bored suburban wives. I nodded, pulled a beer from the Sub-Zero, and opened the fitness app on my phone. Shared family account, one of those modern conveniences that makes surveillance so much easier than hiring private investigators. Lisa's workout, 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Gym hours posted right on Google. Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. to 8 p.m. Math was never my strong suit, but I can subtract. "Must have been some workout," I said. 2 hours. She busied herself wiping down the already clean counter with the kind of intensity usually reserved for crime scenes. Time flies when you're in the zone, you know? Chad really pushes us to break through barriers. Time flies. Sure it does. Especially when you're in someone else's zone entirely. I've spent 15 years reading client behavior, understanding when someone's feeding me a line versus when they're genuinely interested in a $1 million MRI machine purchase. The tells are always the same. Excessive detail, over-explanation, physical displacement activities like cleaning spotless surfaces. That night, she went to bed early, said she was exhausted from the training session. I sat in my home office looking at the data on my laptop screen. Not just today's workout, but the pattern from the past 6 weeks. Every Tuesday and Thursday, Lisa's fitness tracker showed activity well beyond the gym's operating hours. Sometimes until 9 p.m., sometimes later. Always on days when I worked late at the Dallas Medical Center, closing deals with hospital administrators who preferred evening meetings. The correlation was too clean to be coincidental. I pulled up Chad Morrison's Instagram profile for the 3rd time that week. Fitness influencer, personal trainer, motivational speaker. The holy trinity of modern masculine insecurity. His feed was a masterclass in manufactured authenticity. Carefully lit gym selfies, inspirational quotes about unleashing your inner beast, and an impressive collection of before and after photos featuring female clients. All tagged with Now Transformation, Tuesday, and #Fitness Motivation, and #Blessed to Serve. The comments section was particularly enlightening. Middle-aged women posting fire emojis and heart-eye faces, talking about how Chad had changed their lives and helped them find their strength. The kind of language that made my sales training alarm bells ring. When someone's selling transformation, they're usually selling something else entirely. The next morning over coffee, I kept it casual. "How's Chad's training program working out? Seeing results?" Lisa brightened in that way guilty people do when they think they're getting away with something. "Oh, definitely. He's really focused on functional fitness, building real-world strength." She paused, stirring her coffee with unnecessary concentration. "He thinks I have a lot of untapped potential." I'm sure he does. Untapped potential seems to be Chad Morrison's specialty, based on the carefully curated Instagram feed I'd been analyzing like quarterly sales reports. "That's great," I said. "Maybe I should meet him sometime, get some tips for my own routine." The color drained from her face faster than the coffee from her cup. "Oh, you wouldn't like him. Very intense. Probably not your style." She forced a laugh that sounded like aluminum foil in a garbage disposal. "Plus, he's really expensive. Like, crazy expensive. Not my style, right? Because my style is apparently working 60 hours a week to pay for a lifestyle that includes my wife's extracurricular activities with Instagram fitness gurus." "How expensive?" I asked, because in sales you always follow the money. "I don't know exactly. He has different packages. The premium coaching is pretty exclusive." She was already backing toward the hallway, coffee half finished. "I should get ready, meeting Sarah for lunch." Sarah, another new addition to the rotation. I made a mental note to verify Sarah's existence, though I suspected she was as fictional as Chad's commitment to professional boundaries. After Lisa left, I sat at the kitchen island looking out at our backyard. The pool we'd installed last summer reflected the Texas morning sun, surrounded by landscaping that cost more than most people's cars. We'd built this life together, brick by brick, decision by decision. Now someone was dismantling it with Instagram stories and hotel room selfies. I called the office and told them I'd be working from home, told them I had some research to do on a new market opportunity, which wasn't entirely a lie. I was researching a market, just not the kind that involved medical equipment sales. Time to apply some professional investigative skills to a personal problem. I started with the basics: Chad Morrison's business registration, public social media profiles, cross-referencing his posted locations with Lisa's fitness tracker data. The digital breadcrumbs people leave behind never cease to amaze me. In sales, we call it lead qualification, separating genuine prospects from time wasters. This was the same process, just with higher stakes. The research phase took 3 days of methodical investigation. Chad Morrison wasn't just a personal trainer, he was a brand. Elite Fitness Solutions, LLC, registered business address at a UPS store in Plano, classic small-time operator trying to look bigger than reality. His Instagram told a more interesting story when you knew how to read the metadata. Posted locations at high-end hotels, exclusive restaurants, private gym sessions with clients whose faces were always conveniently cropped out. The timestamps were what caught my attention. Tuesday and Thursday posts consistently appeared during what should have been his busiest training hours, unless his training sessions weren't happening at the gym. I called my buddy Steve from IT that afternoon. We'd worked together for 5 years, closing deals with hospital systems that needed complex integration between medical equipment and their existing networks. Steve had a particular talent for digital problem solving, the kind of problems that required discrete documentation and absolute discretion. "I need a favor," I said. "Nothing illegal, just thorough." Steve understood immediately. He always understood. "What kind of thorough?" "The kind that provides clarity about someone's business practices." "Business practices. Got it. Send me what you have." I forwarded Chad's business information, Instagram profile, and the gym's posted hours. Steve was the kind of IT specialist who viewed information asymmetry as a personal challenge. If someone was using technology to deceive, he considered it a professional obligation to level the playing field. 2 days later, Steve handed me a manila envelope in the parking lot of a Starbucks in Plano. Professional photos, timestamps, location data, the kind of documentation that would hold up in any business dispute. "Your boy Chad's got quite the operation," Steve said, adjusting his glasses. "BMW's leased, not owned. Apartment in Addison, not the Plano address on his business registration. And those exclusive private training sessions? Marriott on Preston Road, same suite, rented monthly." The photos were crystal clear. Chad Morrison's BMW parked outside the Marriott on Preston Road every Tuesday and Thursday. Same hotel, same time frame as Lisa's mysteriously extended workout sessions. Professional-grade surveillance equipment produced images that left no room for interpretation. Lisa, walking into the lobby at 7:15 p.m., Chad's hand on her lower back like he owned the place. Both of them laughing at some private joke, moving with the familiarity of people who'd done this dance before. Her head on his shoulder in the hotel restaurant, looking at his phone screen, probably scrolling through his latest thirst trap posts. But the real gem was the screenshot from Chad's Instagram story, posted Tuesday night at 9:15 p.m. "Post-workout fuel with my favorite client, had blessed / motivated." The photo showed 2 wine glasses on a hotel room table, city lights visible through floor-to-ceiling windows. My favorite client. The audacity was almost impressive. I sat in my car for 30 minutes, looking at the evidence spread across my passenger seat. Not angry. Anger is unproductive in sales, and this was just another type of negotiation. Disappointed? Sure, but mostly calculating. When you've spent 15 years closing million-dollar deals, you learn that every problem has a solution. You just need to find the right leverage point and apply pressure at the optimal moment. The next phase required patience and strategic positioning. I started staying late at the office on Tuesdays and Thursdays, establishing a new pattern that would give Lisa the confidence to be careless. Told her I was working on a major account with Texas Medical Systems, which wasn't entirely a lie. I was working on an account, just not the kind she imagined. "This deal could be huge for us," I explained over dinner. 8-figure contract if I can nail the implementation timeline. Might need some late nights to close it. Lisa's relief was almost palpable. "That's amazing, honey. You work so hard. You deserve a big win." She reached across the table and squeezed my hand with enthusiasm I hadn't seen in months. Don't worry about me. I'll keep myself busy with the gym routine. I'm sure you will. 2 weeks into my new schedule, I got the text that changed everything. Running late tonight, just having coffee with a friend. Don't wait up. Coffee. At 8:30 p.m. with a friend. I checked the fitness tracker app on my phone. Lisa's location, Preston Road, Marriott. Her heart rate, elevated, but not in the way you'd expect from cardiovascular exercise. I opened my laptop and pulled up Chad Morrison's Instagram. Sure enough, there was his latest story posted 15 minutes earlier. A mirror selfie in what looked like a hotel bathroom. Caption reading, "Recovery day with someone special, #grateful, #good vibes. Someone special. Recovery day." The pieces were all there, laid out like a comprehensive sales presentation. I scrolled through my contacts and found Rachel Morrison, Chad's wife, according to the dental office website where she worked as a hygienist. We'd never met, but mutual neighbors had mentioned her at community barbecues. The kind of woman who probably didn't know her husband was moonlighting as a suburban homewrecker with a monthly hotel suite rental. I composed a carefully worded message. "Hi Rachel, this is Brian Walsh from Richardson. We haven't met, but I think we have some mutual interests regarding our spouse's business relationship. Could you call me when you have a private moment?" She called within 10 minutes. Her voice was cautious, professional, with the slight edge of someone who sensed bad news coming. "Mr. Walsh, what's this about?" "Your husband Chad, and my wife Lisa. I have some documentation I think you should review." Long silence. "Then, what kind of documentation?" "The kind that explains why Lisa's been having 2-hour fitness sessions at a gym that closes at 8 p.m. More silence. When Rachel spoke again, her voice had changed. Steady, controlled, with the precision of someone who'd just received confirmation of something she'd suspected. "Can you send them to me?" "I can, but Rachel, before I do, you should know this isn't just photographs. It's a comprehensive business analysis. Timestamps, location data, financial patterns. The kind of documentation that tells a complete story." "Send everything." I forwarded the complete package Steve had assembled. 3 photos showing the pattern of hotel visits. Screenshots of Chad's Instagram stories with timestamp correlations. The fitness tracker data showing Lisa's location during supposed gym sessions. And the business registration information showing Chad's registered address versus his actual residence. Rachel called back in 8 minutes. Her voice had transformed completely. Cold, analytical, frighteningly calm. "How long has this been documented?" 6 weeks of solid evidence. Probably longer in reality. "What do you plan to do with this information?" "That depends entirely on what you plan to do. But Rachel, you should know, Lisa texted me 30 minutes ago saying she was just having coffee with a friend." A sharp intake of breath. "Coffee. At 8:30 p.m. at the Preston Road Marriott. Same location as the documented pattern." "I see." Long pause. "Mr. Walsh, I'm going to handle my situation tonight. What you do with yours is your decision. But I suggest you consider your timing carefully." "What do you mean?" "I mean that when I confront Chad tonight, he's going to call or text your wife immediately. You might want to be prepared for that conversation." Strategic thinking. I liked her already. "Rachel, before you proceed, would you be interested in a coordinated approach?" "What kind of coordination?" "The kind where they both realize their situation has changed simultaneously. Maximum impact, minimal opportunity for damage control." She was quiet for nearly a minute. "What did you have in mind?" "You handle Chad. I handle Lisa. But we synchronize the revelation. No advance warning, no time to coordinate their stories." "That's actually quite sophisticated." "I'm good at managing complex negotiations. This is just another type of deal closure." We agreed on 9 p.m. Rachel would confront Chad when he returned from his business meeting. I would respond to Lisa's coffee text with something that would make the situation immediately clear. I spent the next 20 minutes crafting the perfect message. In sales, timing and phrasing are everything. Too aggressive, and you lose the psychological advantage. Too subtle, and the message gets lost. The goal was maximum clarity with minimum words. At exactly 9 p.m. I typed, "Ask him if his wife liked the photos." Send. The response came in 4 minutes. Just 3 dots appearing and disappearing. Then, "What photos?" I didn't reply. In negotiation, sometimes silence is the strongest position. Let her fill the void with her own anxiety. My phone rang 18 minutes later. Lisa, voice tight with barely controlled panic. "Brian, what are you talking about?" "What photos?" The ones Chad's wife Rachel is looking at right now. Hotel lobby, Tuesday nights, wine glasses in suite 412. Should I continue? Oh, God. The sound of someone's world collapsing in real time. Brian, I can explain. I'm sure you can, but I don't need explanations. I need facts. And the facts are comprehensive. Fitness tracker data, Instagram story timestamps, hotel receipts, business registration analysis. Hotel receipts? How did you get hotel receipts? I'm good at my job, Lisa. Pattern recognition, data analysis, strategic information gathering. I applied professional skills to a personal problem. This is insane. You had us investigated? I had facts collected. There's a difference. When someone's lying about where they spend their time, verification becomes necessary. She started crying. Real tears this time, not the performance art she'd been practicing with her exhaustion from Chad's training sessions. Brian, please. We can work through this. It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think. And now Rachel Morrison thinks the same thing. Funny how evidence has a way of clarifying situations. Rachel knows. Rachel's having a conversation with Chad right now. Apparently he's been quite creative with his business expense categories. Monthly hotel suite rentals don't typically fall under fitness equipment. Long silence. Then, what do you want from me? I want you to come home. We're going to have an adult conversation about the next steps. No drama, no accusations, just practical discussion about how to dissolve this arrangement cleanly. Dissolve what arrangement? Our marriage, Lisa. We're getting divorced. The word hung in the air like smoke from an expensive cigar. Final, definitive, non-negotiable. You're not even going to try to work through this. There's nothing to work through. You made a choice. I'm making a choice. The difference is that my choice is based on complete information. Brian, please. I was confused. Chad made you feel special. I understand the appeal. Instagram followers, professional fitness advice, hotel rooms paid for with credit cards he probably can't afford. Very flattering for a suburban housewife looking for excitement. Don't talk to me like that. I'll talk to you like someone who respected our marriage enough to gather facts before making decisions, which is more respect than you showed me. She hung up. I poured myself 3 fingers of the good whiskey and sat on the back patio looking out at our pool. The underwater lights cast blue reflections across the water, creating patterns that shifted with the slight evening breeze. Everything looked the same as it had 6 weeks ago, but the context had changed completely. My phone buzzed with a text from Rachel. Chad's packing, says he needs space to figure things out. How's your situation? I replied, Lisa's coming home for a practical conversation. Thank you for the coordination. Thank you for the evidence. I'm filing divorce papers Monday. Lisa arrived home 45 minutes later, looking like she'd been crying in her car in a Starbucks parking lot. Probably had. She set her purse down with the same careful precision she'd used with her phone 6 weeks earlier, like everything might explode if handled incorrectly. We need to talk, she said. We're talking. Sit. She remained standing, arms crossed in that defensive posture people adopt when they know they're about to lose a negotiation. Brian, I know you're angry, but I'm not angry. Anger is unproductive. I'm disappointed, which is different. Anger burns hot and fades. Disappointment is cold and permanent. So that's it? 8 years of marriage and you're just done? I'm not done. You were done 6 weeks ago when you decided Chad Morrison's hotel suite was more interesting than our living room. I'm just acknowledging reality and moving forward accordingly. She sat then, finally, in the chair across from our kitchen island. The same granite surface where she'd been setting her phone down like evidence every Tuesday and Thursday for the past month and a half. What do you want to know? She asked. Nothing. I already know everything relevant. 6 weeks of documented patterns, financial analysis of Chad's business operations, comprehensive timeline correlation between your fitness tracker data and his Instagram posts. You really had us investigated. I applied professional research methodologies to verify suspected inconsistencies in reported information. Same process I use for qualifying potential clients, just with different stakes. She stared at me like I'd started speaking a foreign language. Do you hear yourself? You sound like a robot. I sound like someone who doesn't make decisions based on emotions, which is why our business accounts are protected, our assets are documented, and I've already spoken with legal counsel about the most efficient dissolution process. That got her attention. You called a lawyer? I scheduled a consultation for Monday morning. Clean separation, equitable distribution, minimal complications. We're not children, Lisa. We can handle this like adults. What about counseling? What about trying to work through this? Counseling addresses communication problems. We don't have a communication problem. We have a fundamental disagreement about the boundaries of marriage. That's not something you counsel through. She tried a different approach, leaning forward with the earnest expression she used when she really wanted something. Brian, I made a mistake. A huge mistake, but people make mistakes. He made me feel exciting again. Like I was more than just a suburban housewife. And what am I? More than just a suburban husband funding your excitement. The question hung in the air like the scent of expensive perfume. Noticeable, artificial, slightly nauseating. That's not fair. Fair would have been discussing your need for excitement before seeking it elsewhere. Fair would have been honesty about your dissatisfaction with our life before creating a parallel life with someone else's husband. You're being so cold about this. I'm being practical. Emotion is what led to this situation. Practical is what's going to resolve it. My phone buzzed with a text from Rachel. Chad's gone to his brother's place, found receipts in his car. This has been going on for 3 months, not 6 weeks. Thought you should know. I showed Lisa the text. Rachel Morrison found additional documentation in Chad's vehicle. 3 months, not 6 weeks. Want to revise your timeline? Lisa's face went white. I didn't mean for it to go this long. How long did you mean for it to go? I don't know. It just happened. Affairs don't just happen, Lisa. They're planned, executed, and maintained. Hotel suite rentals require monthly payments. Instagram stories require deliberate posting. Fitness tracker data requires conscious deception about your actual location. Stop talking like it's a business transaction. It is a business transaction. Marriage is a legal and financial partnership with emotional components. You violated the partnership agreement. Now we're dissolving the business relationship. She started crying again, but this time it felt more genuine, less performance, more actual grief. I never wanted it to end this way. How did you want it to end? I thought maybe Chad would leave Rachel and we could... You thought you'd trade up. Regional sales director husband for Instagram fitness influencer boyfriend. Interesting risk assessment. It wasn't about money. Everything's about money eventually. Chad's business registration shows revenue of $47,000 last year. I made $153,000. Basic math suggests this wasn't a financially motivated decision. God, Brian, do you hear yourself? We're talking about our marriage and you're quoting tax returns. Tax returns don't lie. Instagram stories don't lie. Fitness tracker data doesn't lie. The only lies in this situation came from people, not from data. She stood up, paced to the window, looked out at our backyard. So what happens now? Now we divide assets equitably. House gets sold, proceeds split 50-50. Retirement accounts remain separate since they were separate before marriage. No spousal support needed since you're capable of working full-time. You've really thought this through. I've thought everything through. It's what I do. Strategic planning, risk assessment, optimal outcome achievement. Same skills that bought this house and funded our lifestyle for 8 years. And funded Chad's hotel suite rentals, she said quietly. Finally. A moment of actual clarity. Yes, my income indirectly subsidized your affair. That's particularly insulting from a business perspective. She turned from the window. I'm sorry, Brian. I really am sorry. I believe you. Regret is normal when consequences become clear, but regret isn't the same as repair. So we're really doing this. We're really doing this. Monday morning I meet with divorce counsel. Tuesday we list the house. Wednesday you find a new place to live. That fast? Efficiency minimizes additional damage. Quick closure benefits both parties. She nodded slowly, accepting the inevitable. What about Chad? Chad's not my problem. Rachel Morrison is handling Chad according to her own strategic preferences. 3 months later, I was signing the final closing documents on our Richardson house. $420,000 sale price, exactly what we'd hoped for when we listed it. Lisa got her half, I got mine, and neither of us had to see each other again except for the brief handshake at the title company. I'd moved to a smaller place in Addison. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, mortgage payment I could handle on my salary alone without stress. No pool, but also no surprises in the shared fitness tracker app. Amazing how peaceful life becomes when the only person you're monitoring is yourself. The work situation had improved dramatically. Without the distraction of investigating my wife's extracurricular activities, I'd closed the Texas Medical Systems deal, 8-figure contract, just like I'd told Lisa. The commission alone paid for my new place outright. My regional director had been so impressed he'd offered me the district manager position, overseeing sales across 5 states instead of 3. More money, more responsibility, more travel. The kind of career advancement that becomes possible when your personal life isn't a continuous crisis management exercise. Lisa had moved back in with her parents in Dallas. Last I heard through the neighborhood grapevine, she'd taken a part-time job at a real estate office in Uptown. Fitting, really. Selling houses to other people while living in her childhood bedroom. The irony wasn't lost on me. Chad Morrison's Instagram had gone through an interesting evolution. 6 weeks of radio silence, then a gradual reappearance with posts about learning from setbacks and rebuilding after challenges. His follower count had dropped from 50,000 to around 30,000. Turns out people don't like fitness influencers who can't manage their own life metrics. The comments section had become particularly brutal. Former clients posting about unprofessional behavior and inappropriate boundaries. The fitness industry runs on reputation and referrals. When your reputation includes breaking up marriages, the referrals tend to dry up. Rachel Morrison had handled her situation with impressive efficiency. She'd filed divorce papers the Monday after our coordinated revelation, hired a forensic accountant to trace Chad's business expenses, and discovered that their joint savings account had been systematically drained to fund his premium coaching activities. She'd sent me a Christmas card last year with a photo of her new dental practice in Austin. Apparently, honesty and strategic planning were good for business. Her note mentioned that Chad was working at a 24-hour gym in Fort Worth, teaching group fitness classes for $15 an hour. No more BMW lease, no more monthly hotel suite rentals, no more Instagram influence, justice served cold with a side of financial consequences. I was seeing someone now. Jennifer, a pharmaceutical sales rep I'd met at a medical conference in Houston. She was straightforward, intelligent, paid her own bills, and had never posted a gym selfie in her life. When she said she was having coffee with a friend, she was actually having coffee with a friend. Revolutionary concept. Jennifer understood the sales mindset. The importance of honest communication, strategic thinking, and not making promises you can't keep. Our relationship was built on transparency and mutual respect. No shared fitness tracker apps needed, because trust doesn't require surveillance when both parties operate in good faith. "You seem different from most men I've dated," she'd said over dinner last week. "More systematic." I learned to apply business principles to personal relationships, saves time and prevents misunderstandings. That sounds almost cold. Cold is efficient. Drama is expensive. She'd laughed at that. I like efficient. The fitness tracker on my wrist showed a steady heart rate as I thought about the past year. No spikes, no anomalies, no data that didn't match reality. Just honest metrics from an honest life. Sometimes people ask me if I regretted handling the situation so methodically. If I wished I'd tried counseling, given Lisa a second chance, approached things with more emotion and less calculation. The answer was always no. Emotion was what created the problem. Lisa's need to feel exciting and special. Chad's need for validation and financial shortcuts. My own emotional investment in a marriage that had become a performance instead of a partnership. Logic was what solved the problem. Data collection, strategic planning, coordinated execution, clean resolution. In sales, we have a saying, hope is not a strategy. People hope their relationships will magically improve without addressing fundamental issues. They hope their partners will change without providing any incentive for change. They hope problems will resolve themselves through the power of positive thinking. I preferred facts to hope, evidence to wishful thinking, strategic action to passive waiting. The last time I'd heard from Lisa was a text 6 months after the divorce was finalized. No question mark, just, "I hope you're okay." I didn't reply. I'd already delivered my final communication in our marriage when I told her that intent doesn't rebuild trust and open the door for her to leave. If you're waiting for rage, you've come to the wrong house. I don't do rage, I do boundaries, I do strategic planning, I do consequences that don't need volume to land. Lisa lost the one thing she'd been using like currency. Access to a lifestyle she couldn't afford on her own. I gained the one thing that doesn't depreciate, self-respect. The day I threw away the last coffee mug she'd chosen and replaced it with something simple and functional, I stood in my kitchen and smiled at how unremarkable the afternoon was. I took my new life for a drive through the Texas suburbs, past houses that looked like the one I used to own, filled with people living stories I used to recognize. My phone buzzed with a text from Jennifer. Just a picture of the sunset from her apartment balcony, no caption needed. Clean communication. honest metrics, no hidden agendas. That's my kind of workout.